This was supposed to be a short, one-time wonder. The point of it is, it was supposed to not be successful. And we persevered. We pushed and pushed and pushed and made it successful. So you have to never, ever quit. I said, Jim, you're fired. And I'm right. Never, ever give up.
Please be seated. Good morning. My name is Ian Wood, and as Chancellor of Robert Gordon University, I'd extend a very warm welcome to all of you to this special graduation ceremony to confer an honorary degree on Donald Trump. Today's ceremony is short and sweet. Firstly, I'm going to call upon the Dean of Aberdeen Business School to present our honorary graduate, after which Mr. Trump will address the audience, and then I'll say a few words. So, can I call upon Professor Rita Marcella, Dean of Aberdeen Business School, to present Mr. Donald Trump for the award of Doctor of Business Administration, honoris causa.
Thank you.
Chancellor, it gives me great pleasure to present Mr. Donald J. Trump, Chairman and President of the Trump Organisation, for the award of Doctor of Business Administration, honoris causa, on behalf of Academic Council. It is entirely apt that as Dean of Aberdeen Business School, I have the opportunity to present Mr. Trump, a man who is recognised worldwide as a businessman and entrepreneur, and who now has a strong local connection to the region with a £750 million investment, not to mention the long-term benefits that will follow. At Aberdeen Business School, we have, of course, students of business, of the MBA, of media and communications, of marketing, of strategy, of entrepreneurship and leadership. And in all of these fields, Mr. Trump can be said to have excelled. It's only possible for a few of our students to be with us today, but our students are in many ways apprentices, keen to learn and to succeed. And it has always been our proud claim at Robert Gordon University that he graduated with a degree in economics and finance and started his business career in an office he shared with his father. And he's quoted as describing his father as his mentor, from whom he learned a tremendous amount about the construction industry. In New York City, the Trump signature is synonymous with the most prestigious of addresses. Among them, returning to its original premise, it was announced in March 2010. And of course, I think, as I've already indicated, that the notion of the apprentice is one that is very close to the whole concept of students working on projects in real-life situations. And that's something I think that resonates with the whole business school phenomenon of getting people to work, as our MBA students who are here today, in groups on projects. Incidentally, Mr. Trump is also the highest paid speaker in the world. And as I...
Not today.
I was about to say, and as I'm certainly not, it's probably time for me to hand over. And so, Chancellor, on behalf
And I actually just heard a little while ago that the Sunday Times of London named it the University of the Year in Scotland. So it's even more of a tribute, and I appreciate it very much. My mother loved Scotland. She was born in Stornoway. She came back often. She left at 19 years old. She met my father almost immediately. For all of the young ladies out there, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And fell in love. They had a 63-year romance. They had a great marriage. And I sometimes jokingly say one of the few that I've seen, to be honest, because not too many marriages are working out, but they worked out. They were married 63 years. She would come back to Scotland religiously every year. She'd go up to Stornoway. She'd go throughout Scotland. She was a great woman, and I learned a lot from her. She was very thrifty. You know, the Scots have a reputation for watching the dollar, which really is what you preach in the business school. But she really had a natural business instinct, but she also had a flair. She loved everything that this great place stood for, and she'd be very proud today. So on behalf of Mary McLeod Trump, I will accept this honor. And again, thank you very much. And Ian, thank you very much. I thought I'd mention just a few things. We have some business students here, and in particular, I want to thank Ryan for being such a supporter. The president, 14,000 people, right? That's big stuff. So that's very impressive. But I do want to thank you for the support. And I thought I might mention just a couple of little things about business, and it has to do with perhaps what we're doing here today. When I give speeches, oftentimes they'll say, could you give some tips on how to become successful? And I'll go through a list of things. You have to love what you do. You have to never, ever quit. You have to, you know, lots of different things. And I can go through them very quickly. But rather than do that, I think I'm going to really focus on never giving up. And you mentioned The Apprentice before. The Apprentice was supposed to be a short, one-time wonder. And it came to the United States, and Mark Burnett came up to me and said, Donald, you have to do it. It's going to be a hit. But I had an agent from William Morris Agency, a very big agency in New York, and I shook Mark Burnett's hand. I said, I'll do it. We'll try it. Who knows? But he said, please do it, and we agreed. My agent said, you are not going to do it. I will not allow it to happen. No business show has ever succeeded in primetime television. I said, I have a problem. I shook the man's hand. Go back. So we went out, NBC picked it up, and it was supposed to be, they didn't even have options for anything. They didn't even think it was going to be successful. Well, it started at number 10. Now, if you're in the top 50, you have a hit. If you're in the, it then went to 4. It then went to 2, and the next week it was the #1 show in the entire North America, including Canada. I said, I'm a major television star. My parents were never believe this. And I get a call from the chairman of NBC, and I remember it was 7 o'clock in the morning, and he said, Donald, I'd just like to wish you a happy birthday, and by the show, the show just went to #1. And then I get a call from the chairman of NBC, 7:15 in the morning. My wife said, honey, who was that? I said, just the chairman of NBC wishing me a happy birthday. That's when I actually knew the show must be successful. I didn't know anything about ratings, right? And then I get a call from my agent. He was a little bit later, like at about 9 o'clock in the morning. And he said, Donald, I'd like to see you. I said, congratulations, your show just went to #1. And I said, well, thank you very much, Jim. What would you like to see me about? He said, I really think I'm entitled to a commission. So I said, Jim, let me just ask you a question. How much are you looking for? He said, would $3 million be appropriate? I said, Jim, you're fired. And I fired him. And then we actually, Mark and I own it, and we license it all over, and Alan Sugar's done a wonderful job here. And the show is a great success here also. So we've had great success with The Apprentice, and it's been a lot of fun. But the point of it is, it was supposed to not be successful. And we persevered. We pushed and pushed and pushed and made it successful. And the other point is, when I shake somebody's hand, I have a deal. But better or worse, you make deals. Sometimes you think it's going to be good, and it's not. Sometimes it's going to be bad, and it turns out to be great. But I shook hands with a man, and we made a deal, and it turned out to be successful. So often that will happen. Never, ever give up. My father was a wonderful guy, and he always loved the story, but he loved it as a joke. He thought it was very fun. A man goes up, and he loved the cola business. We're in business now. And he loved the cola business. And he just had a passion for it. I have a passion for real estate. He had a passion for the cola business. And he opened a company, and he called it 3 Up. He gave up. And if only he would have gone a little bit further, he would have had 7 Up. Now, my father thought that was the greatest story. He thought it was funny. But I actually don't view it as funny. I view it as a little bit of a learning experience. You really can never, ever give up. Now, we're doing something, a little thing, probably a couple of you have heard about, a little development, £750 million in Aberdeen. Has anybody heard about this? We heard that there were going to be huge protesters here. Today, nobody showed up. In fact, we later said, where's everybody? Then I get out of the car, I get out of the airport, and we're riding, and there were 2 people and a dog. And the woman that had the dog was very nice. She was waving to me. These were the protesters. The fact is, it's been a really popular development. It's a development that I think is so good for Aberdeen and so good for Scotland, and that frankly is probably the finest piece of land anywhere in the world for a golf club. And interestingly, and this was a little bit surprising, because when I was here 4 or 5 months ago, I announced that I was changing the name of the dunes. For years they were named something, and I won't even use that because nobody knew what it was, but it was a name. And I figured that I would change the name. And I announced that I was going to change the name, and everyone went nuts because they thought that, frankly, it would be called the Donald J. Trump Dunes, and that wouldn't be appropriate. And I called them the Great Dunes of Scotland. And that's what they are. They're the greatest dunes in the world. They're the largest dunes in the world. And they're the most spectacular dunes in the world. And everybody loved the idea. It was sort of interesting. I was not sure that that would happen, but everybody loved the idea. We have made tremendous progress on the development. I came here for the last 2 days. I've been walking up and down the dunes. I'll let you know when I'm getting a little bit older, because so far I have no problem. When you can go up and down all of those dunes and still have a nice dinner and enjoy yourself. Someday it won't be that way, I guess, but right now it's been very good, and they are spectacular. And I think when we're completed, when we're finished, everybody will love what we've done. And I want to just say, because we've had great support from environmentalists. The problem is you don't hear too much about that support. You hear about, 1 or 2 people, a very small group. But we've had great environmental support. We had one instance where you have a Society for the Protection of Wildlife and Birds. And they originally came out strongly against us. And then I explained to them, I said, listen, this property is a killing field. 25,000 birds a year are killed while they fly over the property. Now, it's hard for somebody really to say, we want to protect birds, and they used it as a killing field. I said, and all we want to do is get birdies and eagles, meaning a golf. And the fact is that they were unbelievable. They were very responsible, and they understood what I was saying. And we really have gotten tremendous support. And environmentally, this development and this piece of land will be better taken care of, better shepherded than ever before. We took it, we cleaned it, we're leaving largely the dunes alone, but we're stabilizing the dunes. And we're going to create something unbelievable for this area, but really for Scotland, and in fact for Europe. It's going to be something very special. So we never gave up. There were times when we probably should have given up. Most people would have given up. I have great respect for the government, the council, and Alex Salmond. A lot of people didn't want us to leave. You know, we had an unexpected turn of events. We were going along well. We were getting all of our environmental permits. We were getting really kudos. A poll was taken at 93%, and I'll tell you, that percentage went up, because a big camera crew that's here today doing a documentary for the United States, and they're controversial. I mean, they're trying to make me look bad. I mean, it's one of those things. They told me just a little while ago, they can't find anybody against the project. They went to town, and they're interviewing people. And the only people are people that are positive. They haven't been able to find anybody that's against it. And I'm shocked that they told me that. So I said, so you'll find somebody. They'll probably find somebody in New York, or they'll find somebody. But they're saying, we went all up and down the streets of Aberdeen, and we just can't find anybody. We were thinking, George Sorio, myself, Don, all of the people, Larry, that have been working on it, we're saying, oh great, this is going really well, and we're going to get a positive vote in council, and that'll be that. And I'll never forget, it was 7 o'clock in the morning in New York, and I got a